first. It's that simple. I don't think we've really talked about it more than maybe once as a team. It's not something that we really worry about. What we've done is we've had a lot of good practices. I don't know necessarily if we've had a great practice, but we've had no bad practices. But when are we going to go from being good to great and being great consistently throughout a whole practice? And I think to get to that point, we have to have a little bit of an edge, and we have to figure out what that edge is as a team and then individually also.
But I think it's something proud of. You guys have, in a way, become the face of athletics. And I think it's good because Duquesne needs something to rally around.
And I appreciate you saying that.
And, it's good. It's a good thing to do.
You know, I remember coming here 12 years ago, 13 years ago. And, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, very simply, in a sense, it was, I mean, almost a toxic environment. And we've been very fortunate that we've had a lot of people that created that foundation, from Rachel Frederick and Sam Polino and Deanna Voinova to Wumi and April and others that have really carried us into a different direction. And, I talked about this with the team. We have a culture where we think we're the best and we think that we're good. But we're not UConn, and we're not going to go out and roll somebody by 20 in the first quarter. That's just not going to happen. And so that's where we have to have the understanding that we've got to be better basketball players because we're not going to out-athlete or outsize someone. Hi, Ellen. Thanks for
Hi, Dan.
Can we do the three pledges right now?
Yeah, sure. I can't remember that long ago.
Yeah, it's weird because, I mean, it's a special group in a way because they were really, you had April already, and you had other players, but those four, that really.
They make a big difference because you look at things and what they've done in their 4 years, and if we have the year that we think that we'll have, they'll go down as the all-time winningest class, and they'll also go down as the last class that will not have a significant amount of red shirts in it, because that's really a big part of our philosophy now. And so you'll have those four doing what they will hopefully do in 4 years, a pretty special accomplishment. But very simply, if we don't make the NCAA tournament, it doesn't make a difference how many games we win. It all comes down to that. If they want their legacy to be the best team ever, to be the best class ever, we have to go to the NCAA tournament. It's that simple.
In terms of getting to that point, I know you had a hand in trying to schedule. I think you told me earlier it was would be one of the best football schedules in the country.
Be pretty good.
How important was that, and how much time and planning did that take? Maybe a year ago, anticipating what this year could be.
Scheduling is a lot like recruiting. It is something that you do every day, and Matt is in charge of that. And because there's so many phone calls and relationships that you have to build, and you have to have a strong BS detector also, because there's a lot of teams that'll tell you, oh, we'll play, and they'll string you along for months at a time. Matt, being in the business over 20 years, has a lot of great contacts, and we've just come to the conclusion that that's the way our scheduling has to be as we go forward, as the NCAA has changed. Before you got here a little bit, I talked a little bit about how the Power Five, in a sense, has become a cartel. And with them now, most of the leagues going to 20 conference games, we have to seek out any opportunity to play a Power Five, hopefully on a neutral floor, but we'll play anyone, anywhere. Right now we're in negotiations to play another type of game, like our UConn game in Toronto, Canada last year. We're in negotiations with another opponent of similar nature to UConn and doing that again. But we will play anyone, anywhere. And it really comes down to not bravado. It comes down to we need the RPI, we need the strength of schedule.
I'm curious, as your reputation's grown and the program's evolved, has that made it harder or easier to schedule?
It's much harder.
Much harder.
Much harder. I remember 12 years ago, remember Susie looking at me and going, hey, everybody's calling us to play us. And I was like, well, it's because we're not any good. Everybody wants to play you when you're not very good. And those phone calls really started to dry up, and then in the last 4 years, I can't tell you the last time we've had a phone call where someone's called us to initiate a home and home. I can actually tell you, the last time we've had someone call us to initiate a game is Maryland. Maryland needed to bring Shatori Walker back, and that's really about the last time we've had someone of stature, of a prominent stature, a Power 5 school call us. That is just not happening. And then even teams that are non-Power 5, they're certainly not going to call us unless they're in a similar situation. You're looking at really Middle Tennessee State. James Madison won't touch us, but we've had conversations with them. Florida Gulf Coast, there's a handful, Gonzaga, there's a handful of us that are non-Power 5. Some of the Big East schools, DePaul, Creighton, Marquette, that's about it. That's literally about it. So we have to kind of cobble things together and hope that the RPI from the previous year holds strong for the current year. We had a situation where a year or two ago we had Iona on the schedule, and they had come off a 25-win team, and they had some issues, and they ended up having 4 wins. That's just dumb luck, but you can't have that when you're in our position.
The men's side has changed the formula. Are you happy with RPI the way it is? Would you seek some kind of change?
If they're going to change us to be what the men are, I need to know today. I need to know now. And they sprung that on the men really late. And if the powers to be in the women's game decide that that's the direction we're going to go, I'm fine with that. But they can't spring that on us right before the season begins. They can't spring that on us 5 months before the season begins. We need to know a year in advance so that we can do our scheduling properly and use those metrics that they're going to measure us by as we schedule. Otherwise, we're taking a big chance, and who it really hurts initially is the non-Power 5 schools. That's who it hurts initially.
TCU coming up in the tip-off. What do you know about them? How do you feel you match up?
They are a good shooting team. They picked up a grad transfer from South Dakota State. They had, I think, 21 or 23 against them in their postseason game. They shoot it well. They have a little bit more size, athletic size than we do. I don't think they know much about us, even though we return a lot, and I don't think we know a lot about them. They were very similar to us in the RPI last year. It is a great game for us to be able to play someone of a similar RPI, and we're really happy that they agreed to play us. And also, Aisha Nadal, who played here for 1 year, well, actually didn't play. She just redshirted her freshman year and then transferred there. A lot of people don't know her. She was going to be a really special kid. She ended up transferring there, and she finished her career there. We're looking forward to seeing her. She works at TCU now. But my focus has really been on the kids that we have right now. I've got Matt, Rachel, and Sheree really focused on the scout. And today, later today, after Halloween ends, and all of tomorrow will be my focus on TCU. My focus has been more so on our team and really trying to figure out who's going to start, because I don't know who that's going to be just yet, at least at guard.
How does the number of players and the minutes that you return, has that affected the way you sort of wanted to prepare for this season? Because you don't have to get anybody used to anything new. It's all players that know the procedures and how you're going to do things.
Yeah, we've kind of used the analogy of the bear that's been in the same cage for 30 years at the zoo. You have to have enrichment activities. And so we've had some enrichment activities. We're not throwing them blocks of ice or balls to play with, but we've mixed up warm-ups, we've mixed up drills. We realized after our private scrimmage this past Saturday that we're ready to play. We've probably been ready to play for a week already. It's time to go out and turn the lights on and tip the ball up and see what we can do. The biggest, not challenge, but the biggest benefit of returning everyone and everyone being used to everything, they can give their best immediately. We're only carrying with us 2 freshman walk-ons. They understand what their roles are, and it's to not be a drill killer and pick up as much of the team and the culture as you can in your first year. So the other 14 are really focused, hyper-focused on what we're doing in terms of practice, and then they're competing for spots. They're very simply competing for playing time, and it's going to be very interesting. I think we may see some surprises when we get to TCU. Yes.
Well, obviously depth of guard, a lot of guard oriented last year. You have a little more depth inside this year as far as underneath. Will you play the same style, or be maybe a little bit of an adjustment?
No, we're going to play the same way. We're going to be a little bit skinny in the post, I guess you could say. We've got Angela Staffolino just coming back from an issue with her back, and she's just going full practice mode now. So we'll have her for TCU. I don't know how much minutes that she'll play. And then Eniku Kuter is a few weeks away, so we'll rely on our big 3, and that's Paige Cannon, Laya Soleil, and Kadri-Ann Loss. And people don't realize Kadri, last year in the conference, the Atlantic 10, she shot 50% from the field, 45% from the 3-point line, and 77% from the free throw line. 7 rebounds, 12 points, and leads the conference in blocks, and I think is like 7th or 8th in the country. She wasn't on an all-conference team. And so, when you want to talk about, how are we going to get a little chip on our shoulder, if that doesn't fire her up, then I'll bring up the fact that she was a 7-time Rookie of the Week as a freshman and didn't get voted by the coaches as the Rookie of the Year as an Atlantic 10 freshman. And maybe that'll put the chip on her shoulder. And so, those are the kind of little things that we're looking to do to give us a little bit of an edge. Laya Soleil, I said it in the Atlantic 10 previews, might be the most skilled offensive post player I've ever coached. And that's saying something, because we had Amadeus Samashi and some others that were really skilled offensively, Wumi Agunbiade. But Laya Soleil is the old man at the Y. She's the old man at the Y with knee sleeves and Coke bottle glasses and a headband, and you watch her walk out, and she's legit 6'1". She's not 6'2". And she just absolutely cannot be stopped if she catches the ball with her back to the basket. She is not only an effective scorer with either hand and can shoot the hook shot with either hand to about the free throw line, she can also pass the ball very well. I think that you're going to see a very exciting brand of basketball when she's in the game, because that weak side cutter, that weak side person, whenever she catches it on the block and that weak side goes backdoor cut, it's a no-look Paul Gasol type of pass, just like that. She's so much fun to watch. As a fan, you'll love watching her. She's a terrific offensive basketball player. If we can get her to rebound the ball and defend a little bit more, she's got to defend before the catch. She's okay once the defender or the offensive player catches the ball. She's got to be a better defender before the catch, and she's got to be a better rebounder. And then you have Paige Cannon, who, hey guys, let's be frank. I mean, nobody expected Paige. Me in particular didn't expect Paige to have the impact that she did, and she ended up starting 32 of 33 games for a team that won 25 games last year. And she made a point of being here all summer long. She's in the gym a half hour before every practice, every day. She's not giving up her starting spot to anybody. And she's got a little bit of killer in her. She's a tough kid. We have to blow the whistle twice to stop dead balls in practices because she just keeps going. You have to have kids like that on your team. And that bleeds out to the other kids in how hard she plays. She's an incredibly valuable member of what we're doing. And so, we'll go with those 3. And then the surprise, while we have a couple injuries, is Hallie Bovell, who's a converted guard to the post. She gives us something that we've never had, a really athletic 4-man. She can rebound and go and lead the break. She can catch it at the high post, and there's not very many people can stay in front of her from her athleticism, getting to the rim. And if she can consistently knock down a 15-foot jump shot, she'll play meaningful minutes for us.
Is that something that started with Hallie last season, or did you focus on that primarily this offseason?
It was this season because of the depth at guard. She would not play this year a lot for us. She could defend for us. She's an all-conference, all-Atlantic 10 type defender, but she has so many people in front of her that can just flat out score the basketball. And I think people are going to see an Amanda Kalin, who is an absolutely terrific defender and a terrific offensive player. So it was out of necessity for her personally to move to the 4, and then it was out of necessity for us as a team because we have a couple injuries that are going to require a couple people to sit out for a little bit.